Let's close our discussion here on the economic system with round two of what we're about over here. Some more terms you have to know. You have to know the CPI, the PPI. The CPI is the Consumer Price Index. This is a big measurement of inflation and how much impact it's having on the average consumer. Remember, we talked about macroeconomics, which is big picture nationwide. The CPI really focuses on the microeconomics, how you and I spend our money. It's a big deal. Now, let me tell you how hard this is. They actually give a shopping list to different people in different parts of the country, and that person goes into stores. They actually price out what the goods are. They used to actually buy the stuff and actually turn in the receipt, but really they just go down the aisle and they check prices and they turn in their report. That's how they measure the consumer price index to see what we are paying for. You'll see differences in the consumer price index. You'll see big items, housing. Housing is the single most expensive item and has a huge impact on the entire economy because so many people depend on it really to sit down and have their economy go forward and for their personal life to go forward. And then your second big purchase is a car. You'll see that. Then you have a regular purchase, the fuel for the car, whatever that may be, there's a price for that as well. Then you also have a producer's price index, which really measures things on a wholesale aspect of it. Productivity is a big deal. If you can sit down and have a worker, they produce this amount of stuff per hour. If you can increase how much they produce by adding technology to it, they become more valuable. Recently, there was a strike in the United Auto Workers Union, and the major auto workers in the United States got significant raises. But those significant raises now are raising the prices on the cars, putting them out of reach of consumers again. So that being said, they're looking at adding robots in and reducing the number of workers. So it's one of these things of, yo, give me more money, give me your money. Oh, Joe, yeah, last day you got laid off. Oh yeah, take care, Joe. See you later. I got more money. I got more money. I got more money, and I'm the only one left in my department. Yes, that's how it works. You increase the productivity. That one worker works with robots in lieu of having other people doing it. All of a sudden now that worker is more productive because the robots, they don't take breaks. They don't have lunch breaks. They might break down once in a while. They need somebody to go lubricate the different bearings. And that's what the humans are for. So that being said, productivity, it's risen due to technological advances. You'll see the entire world is doing that. You'll see also this productivity. A lot of times, if you take your productivity in the United States and move it to a country where the wages are less, you can get more productivity with less dollars. If you took making shirts out of the United States and move it to Bangladesh, okay, where the cost of wages is only 1/10 that of the United States, you can get 10 times more stuff made by moving it to a different country. You have to deal with the culture aspect, the different things, worry about child labor, make certain to keep those 7 and 8-year-olds out of your factory. And I'm not exaggerating, that is a problem. So you got to sit there, set a certain wage, got to make sure the building doesn't fall down and kill thousands of people. That's happened as well. So you have to pay attention to that because you eventually may have to sit down and say, well, yeah, I was using that company over here. So, but productivity, we moved a lot of different wages, especially high labor skill jobs, into other nations to save money in the process. So the productivity figure is big, and it really plays a bottom line on you and me, but also on the businesses as well. Technology can count for better quality as well as a better quality output and quantity output in the process. We measure it different ways, but a lot of times it's a matter of how much volume you're producing and how much money it costs to produce that volume. It's a simple measure of doing that. The 4 different types of business cycles, you have to know this for the class and real life. Economic boom. Yes, that's kind of fun. Economic boom is real, and sometimes we have that as a nation. You also have the recession. Here is the official definition, and one that probably will be the one that you'll see on your test. 2 or more consecutive quarters decline in the GDP. That's what a recession is. That is the textbook definition. That's the one we operate by. Now, just so you know, anytime you have a recession, it depends how the media likes it. Well, this may not be a recession because of this. You know what? Here's what it is. 2 consecutive quarters, decline in GDP, recession. Stop playing games. Here's what the facts are, report the facts. And by the way, a lot of newspapers on any side out there, they're so politicized that the news is almost opinion, not actual knowledge, not actual data. Make certain you know what you're talking about and make certain you are the intelligent opinion. Boom, recession, a depression. We haven't had any, except for the fact just the thought of it has occurred to us a few times because the recessions have been so severe. It's basically a recession for a long period of time. It would be a scary item to have. We'll talk later as to what mechanisms we have in place as a country to hopefully avoid this. And then a recovery is when the economy stabilizes and grows and leads eventually to an economic boom. Four phases: economic boom, recession, depression, and recovery by the time we're all done. A couple things out there I want you also to know is about fiscal policy. We're going to cover this in chapters 19 and 20 at the very end of class, but the fiscal policy is the federal government's efforts to keep the economy stable by increasing or decreasing taxes or government spending. Right now, the economy at the time of this recording, we have the Federal Reserve has raised the interest rates up so high it's hard for businesses to get a loan because they're paying 7 to 12% interest rate on a simple business loan. That's primarily because the inflation, you're trying to throttle down inflation. So you'll see different aspects like that on fiscal policy. The Keynesian economic theory, you'll hear is kicked around an awful lot by a guy named Maynard Keynes from years ago. It's a theory that government policy, by increasing spending and cutting taxes, can stimulate the economy. It works, but it depends who you listen to when it says it works in the process. But you'll see all kinds of different justifications. Well, I need to have the budget increased over here in the process. So don't cut taxes except for here. Okay, so you cut taxes and everybody that by the time you're done. So the Keynesian is the idea of cutting taxes, and by the time you're all done, can actually improve growth. It's called Keynesian economic theory. A lot of the thing that we have right now is the national debt. The government, our federal government, has done a lot of things that if you and I did, we would go bankrupt and probably put in prison or jail or whatever. People would sue us, we'd be out in the street. The reality is that it's pretty rare that our government comes close to balancing the budget where they have all the income coming in pays for all the expenditures in the same fiscal year. They play games on a federal basis, but also even on the state basis. And you'll see different aspects of it. When it doesn't, we call it the national debt, and it keeps on growing and growing over time. And national surplus is nothing more than an academic thing here in the United States. It's the idea that government takes in more revenue than it spends. That hasn't happened. It probably isn't going to happen in our lifetimes by the time you're done. You'll see the national debt keeps on skyrocketing and everything else. If we put this graph outside, and you can probably actually climb the ladder and go to the moon by the time we're all done with the national debt. As a matter of fact, if you put $1 bills, stack them all up on top of each other, we can go 1.5 million miles. That's pretty good. And the moon's only 238,000 miles away. You know what? If we keep this up, Elon Musk won't have to build a rocket to take us to Mars. We can just walk the dollar bills to Mars in the process. Oh yeah, a lot of fun. So by the time you're done, $1 million can buy a lot of Egg McMuffins. Okay, I don't mean to egg you on, but because you'll be shell shocked to know that the President of the United States, the 2,000 Secret Service could eat every day for almost 4 months with $1 million. Yes, $1 billion you could buy Egg McMuffins and large coffees for 308 years, or for you and me too, in the process over there. By the time you're all done, you can sit down and subsidize McDonald's with a lot of money if you choose to do that. You feel free to do that in the process. But in the meantime, we have a country to run, hopefully, and that the Secret Service and the president's involved with that as well. Monetary policy is the management of the money supply and interest rates by the Federal Reserve Bank, which is separate from the government. Fiscal policy is the government, the three branches of government. The monetary policy is run by the Federal Reserve Bank. We have a Congress that increased the overall spending by 40% in the United States. And we're now years later, we're still suffering the pain of doing that because you can't increase the money supply that big without having dramatic economic consequences that we're still reaping. In the meantime, the monetary policy is trying to throttle back all the damage that was done to our long-term economy by using solid monetary policy to throttle this fiscal policy. It's a nice argument for economists, but it affects you and me in our pocketbook because of inflation in the process. Here's the same chart you saw before the economic system. Private enterprise, competition, private property, profit motive, and consumer sovereignty really are the very basis for our economy here in the United States. Know those and know them not just for the class, but also for your world when you enter into the business world and start making a living nonstop and have this have an impact on your daily life. In the meantime, take care.